Hi, everybody. It's Joe Cioffi on this 1st of July, 2018. Half the year is over. Second half has started. We're in the middle of a very, very hot day, so I thought I would jump in. I just came out of um, my pool, which has taken me about 3 weeks to get cleaned up. I finally got it clean yesterday, all ready to go, and my filter broke. So I had to go take care of that. It's just sort of a never-ending story, I suppose. But we have a hot day underway, no doubt about it. And we're going to take a look at some of the temperatures that are going on at the moment, because they are rather substantial and close to the 100-degree mark. Not quite there yet, but getting there in some places. And there's probably another hour of good solid heating for this to occur. So I'm going to bring up the current temperatures, and I'll get a little tighter so you can actually see these numbers a bit better. I'll zoom in on the northeast here, and oh, you gotta love this. Come on, seriously. All right, so these are the numbers actually going on where I am. One of the things that happened today, which kind of caught me a little bit by surprise, was the fact that we had a little band of clouds that developed in New England and just kind of moved its way southward this morning. So I was actually kind of shocked when I saw the 1 o'clock temperature in my neck of the woods in central Long Island was still 94, even though we don't have the quality of sunshine like we had yesterday. Yesterday's quality of sunshine was amazing with the deep blue sky. Today, the sky has that kind of a hazy look, but it's really just cloud cover that has moved on in. But it hasn't really stopped the temperatures from rising, at least for coastal areas. There's not a breath of wind, which is another thing. We've got no sea breeze going on here on Long Island. Temperatures generally in the lower 90s. The higher numbers, 95 in Central Park, 97 at Newark, 97 at Teterboro. These are some of the 3 o'clock readings. I did see a 99 in there. Let me see if I can add some more temperatures to the mix here. Is it going to let me? Yes, hopefully it will. I'll increase the ob density and show all networks. Okay, so this actually shows some additional networks other than some of the official reporting stations. And we've got some spots that are sitting at 98 or 99. I don't know whose thermometer that is up in northeast New Jersey that's reading 100, but I suppose it's not impossible that reading is correct. But most of the temperatures that you see are running in the range of about 95 to 98. The purple is all the extreme, the excessive heat warning. I was thinking about the fact that a heat advisory means we were advising you that it's hot out. That's basically what it is. The excessive heat warning is saying that we're warning you that it's very hot out. I think that's basic. That's the easiest way to explain it. The areas as you go west and south are hot, but they're in the lower 90s. The upper high is basically sitting right over New York City, and as a result, you're seeing the hottest temperatures here. I'm going to try to move this over up into New England. Let's take a look at what's going on. And those hot temperatures, by the way, do also extend up the Hudson Valley, where we've got some middle 90s as well, going up to Poughkeepsie, which is now at 96. Interior Connecticut, looks like you've got a solid band of 100-degree readings going on around and west of Hartford toward Bristol and New Britain. A peppering of 100-degree temperatures, and I don't know who that 103 is on that ob, but maybe that's pushing the envelope a little bit. Looks like we've got a station northwest of Windham, also at 101, and parts of eastern Connecticut close to 100. We move into southeastern New England and away from the coastal areas where we see temperatures that are in the 80s, but inland, and you go into Boston and you're looking at low 90s. Just go west of there into along westward into I-90, and you're starting to see numbers on the range of 96, 98, 99. Framingham looks like is 97. I don't know if that's Maynard, that's 101, and I don't know if that's an official OB or not. Just just east of Concord, it's 95. So we've got temperatures that are up in the middle 90s, even as we head toward parts of New Hampshire, where we're seeing some hefty readings there. And then it's in the upper 80s to around 90 in Maine, with lower 80s right as you get along the shore. So definitely a very hot day up in New England way. And let's go back down. I'm going to move this map over just a little bit. We'll head out to the west because there's one other area of excessive heat. Trying to widen this map, I guess, because there's a lot of data on it. It's taking a little bit of time. Notice you go into western Pennsylvania, it's not quite as hot. Temperatures in the upper 80s there. Looks like my data's here we go, starting to populate now. So we've got some upper 80s and lower 90s. In Ohio, it's mostly upper 80s to some middle 90s as you head a little bit further to the south. I want to get further west to Chicago, if it lets me. And that's where the second area of excessive heat is being indicated. Again, sorry, there's a lot, I guess this is a lot of data on the map. It just takes a while for it to load up a bit. But here's the area in and around Chicago dealing with some excessive heat. We're waiting and there are the temperatures. Now it's 2:20. It's coming up on 3:30 Eastern time, so it's 2:30 Central time, and temperatures are all in the lower 90s. I don't see anybody up at 95. The high, I see a few 94s in there, but it looks like it's mostly lower 90s. But they have another 2 hours before they reach the peak highs, so temperatures will probably tack on at least a few more degrees. So you get the idea, folks. It's hot, and this is going to be the hottest day because this is the day where the ridge in the east is at its absolute strongest, and we're going to see that ridge start to weaken a bit as we move through the next several days. We're going to take a look at the GFS right now, if it lets me. Please let me. And here we go. I'm going to start with the upper air on the GFS model. You know, one of the things that's kind of interesting here, at least from the standpoint of how we've watched this whole pattern evolve, is that it's kind of locked into this days ago. It really hasn't varied that much in terms of where we're going in the longer range. There's been very, very little change in all of this. And when we take a look at the upper ridge sitting right overhead this afternoon, and then you can see it kind of starts to orient itself in a different fashion. You go from it oriented almost north-south here this evening to a more east-west ridge. And the upper high gradually starts building westward back into the Rockies and into the southwest. So once that process is complete, that is going to allow finally a trough in the jet stream from Canada to drop into southeastern Canada and the northeast. This is going to bring a cold front through here late on Friday with some showers and some thunderstorms. And I think, by the way, that this could be a and then that trough lifts out. We get a little bit of ridging later next weekend in the east. It tries to build the upper high again, but there's another trough that swings around as we move into the second week of July. And notice that the flow in Canada is actually strengthening going into the middle part of the month. So this long duration heat wave is going to break at the end of this week. Then I think what we're going to be dealing with is weather systems that are going to be coming through every 3 days or so. So could it get hot for a day or at most two? Yes. But then there will be a front to come along and create some relief. It's not going to be nonstop like this. Starting, many areas started last Thursday, and the East joined in on Friday. Well, that is going to, this is going to be a 7-day stretch of 90 plus for a lot of folks. I don't think you're going to see another 7-day stretch that follows this when the jet stream in Canada begins to strengthen. As far as thunderstorms are concerned, we are seeing some activity with some tropical moisture in the southeast and in Florida. That's because of the fact of where the upper high is. That sort of opens the moisture flow from the Atlantic and moves it westward. There is a weak system that approaches my neck of the woods on Tuesday night, if you want to believe the GFS. So I think that may open up the possibility for a storm, and on the 4th of July, maybe some pop-up storms. But it's really this weather front here on Friday. This is Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, where we have an approaching front with would probably be the potential for some pretty hefty thunderstorms here. And you notice there's a nice little high over Lake Superior, so that brings down a shot of drier and slightly cooler air into the northeast next weekend. Then that high moves out, but notice even though it goes into what normally would be a position that would bring heat and humidity back, and it will for maybe a day or so, we've got another front that looks like it wants to come through here later during the second week of the month of July. So at least things are going to be moving in the atmosphere. So if it does get hot after this heat wave is done, it gets hot for a couple of days, and that would be about it. As far as the tropics are concerned, it's still absolutely quiet. There really isn't too much happening from the standpoint of the tropics, so I'm not too concerned about that. Here's the severe weather risk for today. I can bring that up for you. And okay, so here we have, there's a bit of a marginal risk in inland Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and northern New England. Notice right along the coastal plain, there's no risk of any thunderstorms at all. And then you have a slight risk in the plains and on up into the northern plains and just touching the upper Midwest. So you're going to see the potential there for some severe weather for today. I'll bring the satellite loop up, and you can see the impact of the upper high in the northeast. You see that little white area that's dropping southward over New York, right around New York City, New Jersey. This is what came over this morning around mid-morning, and it's still kind of sitting here, and yet the strength of the upper high is such that we're not seeing it having a whole lot of impact in terms of temperatures. It's still making it up into the middle and upper 90s. And by the way, if you look out in the Atlantic, you can see this large swirl. This is a large upper low that is sitting out in the Atlantic. We were talking about that late last week, and there might even be a little bit of a surface reflection that develops out of this. But I don't really see this developing into any kind of tropical system, and neither does the Hurricane Center. You can see the cloud cover in the southeast and over the Gulf states, producing some showers and storms. And that really is about it. A little bit of activity in the upper Midwest and in the plains, where we pointed out is the severe weather risk. But that's pretty much it as far as that goes. So I'm going to find, let me see, where am I? That's my other camera, and I noticed that my video has kind of stopped. So let me see if I can bring up myself the old way. That's video capture device 1. I have to find, there's the window capture. All right, so let's try this. There I am. See, now I have 2 cameras on this computer, which on my home computer, which is going to, help me out considerably when it comes to doing some different things. You notice we've been doing some Skype interviews. If you haven't seen it last week, I did a really nice Skype interview on the Joe and Joe Show with meteorologist Bill Goodman of the National Weather Service right here in Upton, New York. So it's in the video library, and you can take a look at that. Also, by the way, when this is done, if you want to check out my Facebook video I did right before I did this, you can see my live from the swimming pool. So let's check everybody out. I guess some of you are watching in indoors and not outdoors. Shelly Man Studios. Yeah, we need some snow. That would certainly be nice and make it nice and cool in here. Israel in the midst of the brutal heat. What's the trigger for that marginal risk area? Asked Raymond. I thought the mid-level was capped. You know what? So did I. I just wonder whether, maybe they're thinking that there might be some pop-ups. I didn't read the discussion, so I don't know what their logic is, Raymond. At best, I mean, maybe there'll be some pop-ups that could get strong, but I agree. That upper high's got things pretty well capped. Let's see. Temperatures, Anthony Orr, the last update, 97 accurate at Teterboro. They actually did fix the Teterboro thermometer. There was a problem with it. It has been much more in line over the last week or so. I'm going to really just take a look off screen. I can bring up some 3 o'clock temperatures and see what they're doing here locally. As far as New York City is concerned, let's take a look. So we have New York City right now at 94, okay? LaGuardia is 95, Newark is 97, Teterboro is 97. I think these numbers make sense. On Long Island, Islip already passed the high for the day, was 94, now 93. Farmingdale, 92. Starting to see some places getting a south wind. West Hampton, which the actual airport, Zabriskie Airport, is inland West Hampton. It's not that close to the coast. It's close enough, but it's not that close. And hang on one second, folks. It's not that close. They're 93, but they also have gone to a south wind. You don't usually see West Hampton get that warm. East Hampton also 92. Montauk is 88. So it just goes to show you. And when I look at the winds at all these places, variable at 5, west at 5, south at 7, northwest at 1. I mean, really, when I tell you out here where I am, there isn't a breath of wind. I mean that. There is not a breath of wind. The air is just absolutely not moving at all. Looking in the Hudson Valley, Poughkeepsie is 93. Albany is 97. That cloud cover that came in may very well be having some impact on these temperatures and preventing them, at least impact enough that maybe it knocked a couple of degrees off of where we could have been. So instead of being highs up around 100, it'll be in the mid to upper 90s. But look, hitting the century mark is one of those things, at least in and around this area in the Northeast, that doesn't really happen very often. So it's kind of I guess you maybe want to call it a celebrated idea when it does hit 100, but it really isn't that important. I mean, mid to upper 90s. I mean, it's just hot out. Scott Briller, besides following you and Joe, which I feel are the best forecasters, what weather apps do you like? My favorite is WeatherBug and Weather Underground. I got to tell you, I have a couple of weather apps on my phone, but I seldom use them because of the fact that the only time I'm on the only time when I'm not on a desktop trying to work is when I'm on the road. So I really don't get to use them very much. So I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with some of the weather apps. I do have one on here. I'm getting the name of it that someone suggested to me because they said it was very good in that it has a lot of local data on it. It's called WeatherLink Mobile, and I've used it a couple of times, and it's pretty good with regards to if you want to get if you want to get observations from some place where normally it's some tough place to get weather information from, that might be one to take a look at. Okay. And other than that, Joe and I, even Joe will tell you probably the same thing. Neither of us are big app users. I have a NOAA weather app that if I need to pull up a radar, I do. But I oftentimes I just go straight to the Weather Service's website and just pull it up from there. Why aren't you people all in the pool right now or at the beach? Because it is hot. Howard Vanderhoff out from Facebook jail. I'm fine. I hope you are well too. Dio Nankumar is hot in Queens at 94. We've got probably the next hour observation. These will be the highs for the day. So if we haven't, the places that are going to hit are going to hit their highs now. Newton, Howard says at 91, heat index 102. It does feel god awful out. I will admit that. I guess this is one of those times where the heat index sort of matters because of the fact that you've got these high dew points. The dew points are in the low 70s. Some places the upper 60s, but most dew points are in the upper 60s. On Long Island, they're in the low 70s. In the Hudson Valley, they're in the low 70s. And in New Jersey, they're in the upper 60s and low 70s. I mean, it's just very humid, and it just, someone put on as a comment on my Facebook live stream, it feels gross out, and I would agree with that. It is definitely pretty gross. So I guess we'll just leave it at that, folks. There really isn't too much else going on, and as we said, at least from the standpoint of any kind of weather changes, it's really Friday that we're looking at the next cold front. The only thing that happens starting on Monday is that the winds are going to be a little bit more from the south, and I think that's going to temper temperatures by a few degrees. So instead of mid to upper 90s, I'm thinking more like 90 to 95 in inland spots and 80s along coastal areas, southern New England, Long Island, along the New Jersey shore. Will top out in the 80s, and some places further east might eventually drop back down into the 70s late in the afternoon and evening if the sea breeze can really crank up. Other than that, we don't see any mega weather events coming this week. I guess until the tropics start to kick in gear, this is going to be the case. Not a big surprise. July, hurricanes, tropical storms in the Atlantic. July is not one of the more active months. But it does pick up toward the end of July and, of course, during the months of August, September, and the first part of October. But we got a ways to go before we get there. Okay, those of you hoping for snow, I hope you get it. You're not going to get it anytime soon. You're going to have to wait 5 or 6 months for that, unless you want to go to Gander up in Newfoundland, where they were still getting accumulating snow in some places as of 5 days ago. Okay, thanks, everybody, for being here. And I appreciate those of you, by the way, who have been using my Amazon link to do your Amazon shopping. It's on the descriptor to this live stream, and it's on the descriptor to this when it loads in the video library. Thank you very much. We're a participant in the Amazon Services LLC Associates program, which is an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for this channel to earn fees by linking to Amazon and its affiliated sites. So it doesn't cost you a dime. You do your shopping. Amazon throws me some coin. I get a couple of cigars out of the deal, and everybody is happy. So thank you very much for those of you who have done that. I'll have some website posts up at meteorologistjoecioffi.com. Of course, you can check out the latest also on my Facebook page, Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. And back to the Joe and Joe Weather Show tomorrow night on Facebook at 9:15. And if we've got some time, maybe if Joe has some time, maybe he can join me on my regular YouTube live stream that I will do tomorrow. Let's say right now, let's say maybe 6 o'clock Eastern time. Does that work for you? I hope it does. Have a great rest of your Sunday, folks. Stay cool. We'll see you tomorrow.